More than 165,000 Afghans have fled Pakistan in the month since its government ordered 1.7 million people to leave or face arrest and deportation. The majority rushed to the border in the past several days as the November 1st deadline approached and police began to open up dozens of holding centers to detain arrested Afghans. Authorities on the Afghan side of the border have been overwhelmed by the scale of the exodus as they attempt to process those returning, some of whom are setting foot in Afghanistan for the first time in their lives. Taliban authorities set up the center several kilometers from a border crossing, as well as camps for families with nowhere to go. After a bottleneck there sparked an emergency situation for thousands of stranded people. At the largest border crossing at Torkham in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region, officials worked into the early hours of Thursday to clear a queue of 28,000 people that stretched for 7 kilometers. Just over 129,000 have fled from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the provincial Home Department said, while a total of 38,100 have crossed through Chaman in Balochistan province. But why is Pakistan pushing these Afghans out? Authorities say this is meant to protect the country's welfare and security. Pakistan has recently experienced a rise in attacks which the government has blamed on militants operating from neighboring Afghanistan. The sweep is part of a new anti-migrant crackdown that targets all undocumented or unregistered foreigners, according to Islamabad, though it mostly affects some 2 million Afghans in Pakistan without documentation. This crackdown has drawn widespread criticism from UN agencies, rights groups, and the Taliban-led administration in Afghanistan. UN has said sending many Afghans who are very likely refugees to a country that by most accounts are not even ready to be welcomed back and facing a dire humanitarian situation and serious human rights issues, including the Taliban's crackdown on women and the girls who are only allowed an elementary education, shouldn't continue. But Pakistan has been pushing relentlessly. More than 100 people were detained in one police operation in the megacity of Karachi on Thursday itself, while police rounded up 425 Afghans in Quetta, the city which is closest to the Chaman border crossing. Pakistan announced that women and children under the age of 14 leaving voluntarily would be spared body searches and biometric scanning at the border in line with cultural sensitivities. But the question is, why are there Afghans in Pakistan? Millions of Afghans have poured into Pakistan in recent decades, fleeing a series of violent conflicts, including an estimated 600,000 since the Taliban government seized power in August 2021 and imposed its harsh interpretation of Islamic law. The crackdown has worried thousands of Afghans in Pakistan waiting for relocation to the United States under a special refugee program since fleeing the Taliban takeover. Under US rules, applicants first had to relocate to a third country, in this case, Pakistan, for their cases to be processed. Most of those awaiting relocation had worked for the US government or non-government organizations and media organizations in the years before the Taliban returned to power, and they fled fearing persecution at home. The Taliban-led administration later announced an amnesty encouraging these Afghans to come back. Now, is there more than meets the eye? After all, Pakistan has always liked to play big brother to Afghanistan. Then why this now? Analysts say it's likely a pressure tactic to force the Taliban government to cooperate on security issues. The Taliban government has called on Pakistani authorities to give Afghan citizens more time to live with dignity while denying that refugees are to blame for instability. Relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan's Taliban-led administration have become strained over the past 2 years because of stepped-up attacks by the Pakistani Taliban, a separate militant group that is allied with the Afghan Taliban. The expulsion of undocumented Afghans, however, has widespread support from Pakistanis. The analysts say with a refugee presence putting a heavy burden on the country's infrastructure. Pakistan has been grappling with bankruptcy and political instability. In the midst of all this, who wants what some may say is someone else's burden? Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section. And for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.